it's Lisa Llewellyn again. I'm just doing this video as a follow-up from my previous video where I discuss ideas of God and Goddess. Do I believe in God? And I discuss how I do believe in God as defined by the idea of the inner self, the higher self, if you like. And I do also believe in a goddess as defined as a being that's at one with and the same as the physical universe about us, and that includes nature. Nature, if you like, is the living part of the universe predominantly, such as the part that grows, vegetative nature, animal nature. But within the universe there is nature. And some people identify the entire universe as nature. But let's just say that it's the living, the parts that we say are predominantly living, we call nature. I just want to say that the universe arguably is all living energy, because even that which we say is not organic matter, such as molecules and atoms within star systems, within rocks, within soil, we say they're not necessarily they're not organic, but they are they have their own life because electrons revolve around the nucleus. There's constant movement there. Planets revolve around the sun. There's constant movement there too. There's constant gravitational pull, gravitational force. There's electromagnetic force. All these forces are constantly creating motion. So everything is not like what really would fit a description of something which is non-living or dead. Everything is living, growing, moving, evolving, changing. So if the entire universe is living, we could say the entire universe is the same as nature. We could use nature as a word for the universe. Regardless whether you take nature as part of the universe or as the same as the universe, what I'm essentially have been describing is a pantheistic view of life. For those that are not familiar with the term, pantheism means the idea that the deity, God, or in this case I would say goddess, if you want to represent it in a female form as a mother figure, which I think is more appropriate. However, let's just say that deity, whether God or goddess, is identified with the universe. That's what pantheism means. Let's break the word up. Pan means everything. This comes from Greek language, by the way. Pan means everything or all, and theism, as in pantheism, theism comes from the same root as theos. It comes from theos, meaning God, which is the same root as words like theology, theological, so on. So pantheistic means the idea that God or the deity is the same thing as everything that you see around you. Pan means everything. In fact, Pan was a Greek god who was associated with nature. And we just said earlier that nature really is everything. It's the universe. So I would say that pantheism is the more correct interpretation of divinity. And it gets away from this idea that we have to look to some transcendental sphere beyond the physical and try to work out if it's real or if it's not real. We just take the universe as it is and look at it as a living organism. So for me, I see pantheism as a more simplistic, logical, and reasonable, rational even if you prefer. Also intuitive, because you have an intuitive grasp of you have an intuitive feeling of the universe around you and its life force. You feel it intuitively as well as you've been rationalizing about it. So rationally and intuitively, I would say that pantheism is a much better way of understanding how the divine, how a deity can exist in our experience. There is also a variation in pantheism called panentheism, which means that God is not just the universe, but is also something which is more than just the universe. it's as if to say God is a spiritual, non-physical being, but at the same time is also the physical universe as well. So it's as if to say God has a spirit and a body. The body is the physical universe, but there's also a spirit beyond that. That's called Pantheism, which is a development of the Pantheism idea. It's saying there's more than just a physical, but the physical is also divine. It's also part of God. So putting this in female language, we could say that the universe is part of the goddess, but there's also part of the goddess which is also non-physical, which is something outside of what is observed by the five senses, since the physical is that which is observed by the five senses. So I think there's a lot of truth in the idea of pantheism, because I do feel intuitively, looking at inside myself, that there's more than just the physical. I think my consciousness is something which I cannot qualify or calibrate as I could a physical force. And so it seems likely that there's also something outside of the physical, and that's what my intuition tells me. So I think while pantheism is correct, I think it's not the most correct view. I think an even more correct view would be pantheism. But failing that, if you can't get your head around the idea of pantheism and you're not sure if spirit really exists because you can't see it and can't measure it, then I would suggest that you stick with pantheism for now. And I think you'll do quite well with that as an understanding. And that is a great way to look at how the universe works and how to understand things from this more viewpoint of theology and divinity. That's all I want to say, and this video adds to the previous one.